light method of lightful living. And please provide her any feedback that you can. We spend a lot of time learning how to be present with other people. And today, Laura wants to talk about something quieter and harder, protecting your own attention long enough to do your best work. This is a speech about focus and about the one thing she leaves open all day that keeps stealing. Laura. Yesterday, I sat down to do one task, just one thing that I went to my desk and my computer to do. I left my email open and I thought, oh, just in case something really important comes in, I better leave that tab open. And 20 minutes went by. I had checked 4 emails, I'd replied to 2, and I'd completely forgotten the thread of why I sat down at my desk. I don't know if any of you have done that before, but it made me realize what's happening here, because my attention went without me even choosing it to go there. I didn't give myself permission to go do my emails. I just naturally drifted that direction. And I think the problem is that we think of attention as a discipline. If we just try harder, we can stay on task. But that's not what's actually happening. Whenever we go to check our emails, whenever we pick up our phone, we're training our brain to expect interruptions. And so what happens is that we're teaching ourselves to break our own concentration. So even when I do get time to sit down and have a quiet hour of work, I'm searching for that distraction that I'm actually trying to escape. So I wanted to talk with you about this today because I have built a company called Lightful Living. It's built on 5 pillars called the LIGHT method. And LIGHT is an acronym. And I had spoken with you last time, it's a little while ago now, about leading with presence. And today I want to focus on intentional focus. It's a little bit different. And so I wanted to explain the difference between the two. When you lead with presence, it's about who you are with. It's about showing up and giving that person your attention. But focus is about what you're protecting. So the best way to explain this is through an example. Imagine you have a meeting at work and you go into the meeting and you're present, you are listening, you're in tune with your coworkers, you're contributing, you're being curious and asking questions, and you're fully present. You're not letting yourself being distracted by anything else except what's in front of you. Focus is what happens afterwards. When you leave the meeting and you go into your office, you close the door, you open your computer, and you decide to do some focused, uninterrupted work. And that work is what that meeting, what you brought out of that meeting, it's important. That's what it depends on. That is your intentional focus. And the crazy thing about it is that you can be extremely present with people in a meeting, and yet you can be completely distracted and not have intentional focus all day. And so it's not the same thing. You need both. And they're 2 completely different muscles. And I see this with finance because I see it with costs. When you are distracted and you're not giving your intentional focus with things, it is costing money on the bottom line because it takes you time to get focused again to do your work versus just being distracted as I get distracted up here. And then it takes me a second to get back to my thoughts, right? That happens all day. And so here's the thing, your attention is your most valuable, finite thing that you take into the workplace, really any circumstance. And we are not choosing where our focus goes. We're letting the loudest notification determine where our attention is going. And so intentional focus is deciding in advance and deciding in advance what you're going to do, defending that, and doing it because it matters, and defending that time on purpose. And so I challenge you this week to do one task, just one, with intentional focus. Whenever you sit down at your computer or you sit down to do your work, shut everything else off, close it, decide what you're going to do, defend it on purpose because it matters. Thank you.